Hiya! Welcome! So it's been about 4 months nearly, I think, since the last big old New Order and Joy Division collection update. I took a break from it for a while, as you know, or you might know if you'd been following any of the previous, 11 parts to this unofficial series. But I'd been collecting a hell of a lot of stuff last year, predominantly on vinyl, relating to New Order and Joy Division, including some albums and singles by those acts themselves, but the vast majority was work from New Order members that have been producing other artists or playing on other artists' material, and that's mostly what we've got here today. I took a break from it all for a while because as much as I was enjoying just going down this New Order, Joy Division and related rabbit hole, I figured I want to focus on other aspects of my record and music collecting for a few months. I knew that there was still a lot of New Order and Joy Division related adjacent stuff still out there. A lot of it relatively reasonably priced. I don't think I've paid massively over the odds for anything here. And I figured, let's get back into it. Let's fill some more of those holes. So we'll start with everything that I've got that I've already opened previously and I've just not listened to or even really sort of looked at properly yet. And we'll finish with, I think, 3 mail openings to do. These aren't in any order of when I bought them, certainly not in any order of release either, so they're just kind of all at random here, apart from the fact that I know a whole load of Discog stuff is at the end. But the first album here is one that I bought from James Nice at Le Disque du Crépuscule fairly recently, and it is this one, the self-titled album from 1980, Pauline Murray and the Invisible Girls. So this, as you can see from the hype, is a classic album produced by Martin Hannett. Martin Hannett is technically an invisible girl, along with, if I can see that without my glasses, Steve Hopkins. It credits Vinnie Riley of Durruti Column, more on him later, as a special guest. But the reason I got this for the New Order collection was because I believe it's Bernard Sumner who plays on one track on this, and I think it's Searching for Heaven. It's a double album. I have already opened this when I received it because I wanted to check that this was the edition that had a bonus CD with it, because when I was looking at it on Discogs, some of the vinyl editions, and of course this is a fairly recent, although it could be about 10 years old now actually, reissue. Some of them didn't have a CD with them, but yes, this one does have a CD, and it's got instrumentals on it basically, and maybe 1 or 2 other slightly different mixes. Yeah, getting 2 albums in one really here. Do I know much of Pauline Murray and the Invisible Girls? No, I don't, but that's going to be a recurring theme throughout this video really. But of course, I'm very familiar with Martin Hannett's production and Bernard Sumner as a musician, certainly. Nice start there, about £25 that was. In fact, it was 25 with free or inclusive postage from Le Disque du Crépuscule. Pauline Murray and the Invisible Girls self-titled album.
Time to make a change of plan. Time to get out while I can. Over mountains and through clouds, where my feet don't touch the ground. Looking for the promised land, leaving everything behind. Searching for heaven, searching for
Next up, this is going to be the most mainstream of the albums, all the records that I show you today, because there's not just albums, there's singles, probably more singles than LPs to be honest. But this one, I don't know why I didn't pick this up previous, really. It's not been difficult to get. It was from iMusic in Denmark. I could have picked it up elsewhere. But their price seemed to be about the best from my research. And it is, I think it was her debut solo album. Correct me if I'm wrong, I know there'll be some big fans of hers out there. But it's Gwen Stefani's Love Angel Music Baby. And this is the 20th anniversary edition that came out last year. So wow, this album's over 20 years old, almost 21 years old now. And I got this because of the track on it, The Real Thing. Now, when I was reading about that, originally Gwen Stefani and or her record label wanted it to be a proper full New Order collaboration. You know, New Order featuring Gwen Stefani. And New Order, although relations between Barney and Hooky were a little bit like that, they were still together and going. In fact, that would have been around the time they would have been recording the Waiting for the Sirens Call LP. But although New Order as an entity, as a group, turned down the opportunity to do a proper collaboration with Gwen Stefani, she did manage to get Barney and Hooky for The Real Thing. The Real Thing features Bernard on backing vocals and possibly guitar as well, and Hooky on bass. You can certainly hear Hooky's bass in that. It's a fantastic track as well. It was released as a single, at least in some territories. I don't know how well it did over here, but I think there's more famous and more memorable for other fans songs on this album, like Hollaback Girl. What else? What You Waiting For, of course, was a big single. But for me, I wanted this simply because of Bernard and Peter being on The Real Thing. I will get this open actually, because this is on coloured vinyl. I could have got what looked like an original pressing of this, to be honest, but it would have just been on black vinyl. The prices were similar for both. I like a reissue, so figured I'd go for the coloured 20th anniversary edition. And this album is on like a neon, not quite transparent pink. Looks quite dark on camera. Sort of me sat behind it, it's sort of a light pink, but it's like a real hot neon pink on camera. But very nice nonetheless. I don't dislike Gwen Stefani. As I say, I think The Real Thing is a great track, and I might be speaking with a degree of bias there, certainly given that who was involved with it, but I was never too bothered about No Doubt, but some of their stuff I thought was okay. Similar situation with Gwen Stefani in her solo career. Not really my cup of tea overall, but this has got two members of New Order on this, and it's a bloody good track as well. I really should have picked this up last year, because it's not like this has been difficult to get from anywhere, but better late than never. Love Angel Music Baby from Gwen Stefani.
Have all your stories memorized. I've kissed your lips a million ways, but I still love to have you around. I've held you too many times to count. I think I know you inside out, and we're together most days, but I still love to have you around. And you're the one I want, and it's not just a phase. And you're the one I trust. Our love is the real thing. Don't go away, my love. I want you to stay in my life. Don't go away, my love. I'm happiest when we spend time.
On now to two pickups from Vinyl on the Net, and it's Joy Division themselves. So the original group, alright, the original group was Stiff Kittens, and then Warsaw, and then Joy Division, but let's not get bogged down in the minutiae of it all. This is a bootleg. They're both bootlegs actually. This one is a live bootleg, Day of the Lords, and it was recorded live at the FNR Eindhoven in the Netherlands on January the 18th, 1980. There's a dedication to John Peel there. So as I've said in previous Joy Division New Order updates, when there's a live bootleg on vinyl that I haven't got on another format, which would be CD really, or haven't already got on vinyl in my collection, I will pick it up. And Vinyl on the Net had this for a while. I think this and the next album, Gwen Stefani by the way, that was including postage around the £31-32 mark. But this and the next album, I think altogether from Vinyl on the Net, were just over £50 with postage. So one was about 30, one was about 20. This might have been the £30 one, I honestly can't remember. It's just black vinyl and it was unsealed when it arrived. But nice to have the whole. I believe it's the full one, although it's always difficult to know for certain unless you check beforehand when you're buying Joy Division bootlegs, because some tracks can be missing and others just won't have been recorded in full anyway because of poor sound quality. But as far as I know, it's the whole or almost the complete Eindhoven January 1980 gig from Joy Division. Also from Joy Division is Autosuggestion. Now this was a bit of an impulsive purchase really, because I do have these tracks here on CD, but I thought I'll double up in this case because it's not a live album, it's actually demos and radio recordings. I might even have these on the Warsaw compilation that's also pretty unofficial that I got a year or so back. Once again, I think it's black vinyl. There's your track listing on the back. All of those tracks feature on the Heart and Soul CD box set, which is an official Joy Division product that came out back in 1997. But I just thought I'd get this because I was buying Day of the Lords and in for a penny, in for a pound. So rather more inessential than a live bootleg really is this radio recordings and demos bootleg. Also, I've got the live at the BBC, well, not live at the BBC, but the BBC Sessions Joy Division album as well. So there might be some repetition there. But anyway, I got it and I'm glad I have. Autosuggestion. We move on. All the rest is now Discogs purchases, but there's a lot of them. Although we move on to Discogs Marketplace, we stick with Joy Division just for this 7-inch single here. Now, in a previous Records Roundup, I showed you that I'd bought Transmission and Love Will Tear Us Apart on 7-inch. The only other 7-inch official Joy Division single that I was missing, really, there is arguable exceptions, but I won't start going into that now. But the only other one that I was missing that I knew would be relatively easy to get was this one, Atmosphere. And don't let the date 1979 fool you, this was a 1988 reissue. The B-side is The Only Mistake. So this was issued to promote the Substance album that came out about a year, give or take, after New Order's Substance 1987 compilation. A quick look at the vinyl there. Atmosphere is a beautiful song. If you're watching this and you've got even a passing interest in Joy Division, then you know it, so I don't really need to tell you how utterly sublime this is. And of course I've got this on numerous albums and compilations and things, but I wanted to complete, or as near complete as I could get, series of Joy Division 7-inch singles, so I had to pick up Atmosphere sooner or later. Right, now back onto the, well, I was going to say back onto the related to New Order stuff, and this is obviously not New Order, but it is basically two members of New Order. In fact, essentially it's the other two, Steve and Gillian, but it's not credited to the other two. It is credited to Gillian and Stephen, or Gillian plus Stephen, and it is the Anna and Peter Swing Project 1. Now, I imported this from France, and it wasn't cheap, but it was the only way I could get it, really. What the Anna and Peter Swing Project is, or was, is basically a soundtrack. It's just a 12-inch single, this, by the way, for, I think, some sort of art exhibition that was held in France some years ago by Peter Saville and his partner Anna. Nothing really much to look at. It's another two single, essentially, that I didn't have for the collection, and I'd spotted this on my travels last year, kept ignoring it, thinking, well, maybe a UK seller will have it eventually. There's other editions that I think might be signed actually that are obviously going for a lot of money on the aftermarket. This was the cheapest one available, just this one on its own with no bells and whistles, but really pleased that I finally got this. Gillian plus Stephen with the Anna plus Peter Swing Project 1. Next one was a bit of a surprise find. I didn't think that there was any more remixes of this track done in this method. I'd picked up a couple of 12-inch singles of Crystal remixed, which weren't credited to New Order, but obviously Bernard Sumner was providing vocals. Got those last year. Found that there was another one I didn't know existed. So, you know, every time I've decided I will have a look for all this related to JD/NO stuff, discover something new, and it's been the case with a lot of this stuff. I didn't clock it the first time round, or the first of many times round. But this one is Crystal by, let me have a look, the Flatner and Ingram Project. 12-inch dance single, another version of Crystal that would have been made, if not come out, before New Order actually did it properly themselves. What are the tracks on here? The Clear Mix and the All Clear Mix. So Flatner and Ingram, no idea. A lot of this is also blind buys as well. Not heard any of this, but it's for the collection. Similarly, I'd not heard this one. Another 12-inch single, and it's by a group, I think there'll be a group anyway, called Honey Time. Now, Peter Hook produced this. I don't think he played on it. There is one coming up that he played on, not produced, so I need to make sure I'm getting some of this information right. Couldn't find anything out about this other than that Peter Hook has a credit somewhere. Not even a credit on the sleeve. Oh, he has got a credit on the sleeve. It's in very small text at the bottom. It was recorded at Sweet 16, which was Hookie's studio, and produced by Shan Hira, who was in Stockholm Monsters, and Peter Hook. So yeah, there's the Hookie credit. Therefore, it qualifies for the New Order collection. So the tracks on here looks like it's a 3-track 12-inch single: Beyond Belief, Sin of It All, and One Day Soon. And I've not heard anything on here, so a true blind buy again for Honey Time. Next up is a bit of a housey track from the section of it that I've listened to, and hopefully I'll be able to play you a little bit, as I have been doing throughout this video, of certain tracks. But this one is by, and the act I think is pronounced Harpache, and it's Touchdown and also Touch Up. So a dance track from, what was the year of this? 1992. I'm not sure of the year of the Honey Time single. I think this was, I want to say this was around 1990 though. But this one, side A, Touchdown, side B, Touch Up, and Hookie provides additional bass guitar on this. Nothing really interesting to look at regarding the vinyl, but a very brief butchers at the centre label. From what I've heard of one of the tracks on here, it's okay, it's nothing overly exciting. Maybe I'll prefer the other track that I've not heard anything of. As Peter Hook is on it, I wanted it for the collection. I'm going to be saying that an awful lot here. So that was Harpache. Now the next one I was familiar with. I believe this is on the CD version of the New Order Presents B Music compilation, but when I saw that I could buy this 12-inch single very cheaply, I did. This didn't cost much at all. I think even with postage it wasn't much more than £5. And it's Omen remixed by Tim Burgess. Of course, Tim Burgess, the lead singer of The Charlatans. I will get this protector open, and it's an adhesive one and not a great quality one, as none of them seem to be. So I'll probably chuck this out actually. Shows that I've not really inspected the majority of this vinyl, really, that some of them are still in their protectors. But Omen remixed, and I wanted this because the track that is on the B Music compilation is the first track on this, and it's the Other Two remix, so Stephen Morris and Julian Gilbert remix of Omen. So I know this track and it's okay. I'm sure Tim Burgess has done some decent solo stuff. I did show a Charlatans album in a recent records roundup that featured Stephen Morris on drums. So that is Tim Burgess, Omen.
His father now. His eyes were not wide as blue, nor his hand so steady. In a small room where the furniture's polite, side by side, keep me guessing. Your sentences are like, but to be precise.
Now onto an album, and again it's one Stephen Morris is involved with. Now I think he played on this, although I couldn't say exactly what tracks he played on. I don't think they're specifically credited to Stephen Morris and whoever else was used for drums here. But this is by a guy called Winston Tong, and it's theoretically Chinese. This was a purchase from Germany, and it's on a German label, albeit one licensed to the, at the time, Belgian-based Le Disque de Crépuscule. And this did get a more recent reissue via James Nice and LTM, but only on CD, and with all this New Order related stuff, I'm only getting the vinyl versions really. It would be too overwhelming if I decided a lot of this stuff I wanted also on CD. That is just a step too far, even for a full-on completist like myself. One thing I do like about this is that some of this Chinese lettering is embossed on the sleeve. That small one there, if I shine it into the light properly, you might be able to tell. And then there's a rather more bigger version on the back. Look, this wasn't expensive. The postage and the taxes were probably more than double, almost triple what the album was. And the album's something like €5, but it still cost probably the best part of between 15 and 20 to import it from Germany. That's how things are when you're buying stuff in post-Brexit Britain. Don't know anything on here apart from a little bit of the track that hopefully I'll be playing in a moment, Theoretical China. And as I say, all I know is Stephen Morris is on this album, at least on one or two tracks, probably more, maybe even as much as half of the album, but I couldn't say exactly what. But Winston Tong, Theoretically Chinese.
One foot in this world, one in the next. Let's get away where no one suspects us of being. Go where they only talk present tense. No past or future, no false suspense, no word for love. In theoretical China, theoretical China, in theoretical China, there's no word for love.
Next is something that's new and sealed from a Discogs seller. James Nice at LTM/Crepuscule did have this, and I would have happily purchased it from him. I think he was asking £30 on the website, but I saw that there was a seller on Discogs who had a sealed copy, and their price was, I think, $13.99, and for a double album that seemed a really good deal. I think they knocked a bit of money off because one of the corners is ever so slightly dinged, which doesn't bother me at all. I think that's the corner they're referring to. It is my first, believe it or not, Durutti Column album, Sex and Death. So another Crepuscule or LTM reissue. This one originally came out in 1994. It's been remastered by Peter Beckman at Technology Works, and I wanted it for the collection because Peter Hook plays bass on one track on this, but I like Durutti Column. I've heard them on and off over the years. I did get a Durutti Column single in one of the previous New Order updates, I Get Along Without You Very Well, featuring Lindsay Reed. From what I've heard of The Next Time, featuring Hooky, it's a very pleasant track. I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure I'll enjoy all the rest of it. I want to get this album opened as well because it is out on blue and silver vinyl, so presumably that means one disc is blue, the other is silver, or it could be that they're both blue and silver. We'll find out in a moment. But James Nice and the team at LTM just have done really great work with these reissues. I don't think many tend to come out now. The most recent one that I seem to recall might have been the Marcel King compilation that came out for Record Store Day back in, I think that was 2023. And I did pick that up, albeit after the fact. It was a few months later on a discount. But I'm really glad that I got that because that's an excellent compilation. So, disc one here. So yeah, this one is blue. So we know that disc two, and I don't think there's any extras as such, I just think it's a double album, or at least what was originally not a double album, but it has now been reissued and filled out over 2 LPs. LP2 on silver. Don't think Peter Hook or indeed anyone else relating to New Order has featured on any other Vinnie Riley Durutti Column releases, but I could be wrong there. You know, this one for one, I knew Hooky featured somewhere and I just couldn't remember which album of Vinnie's he was on, and then I realised, or I found out, it was Sex and Death. And maybe he's on another one and I need to do my research once again. I mean, that's part of the fun of it. I'm learning stuff. I'm learning what came out when, who's appeared with who, other facts and information relating to the artists and the releases. So it's quite an educational experience, all this purchasing these records, these singles and albums that I've never heard before. But that one, the deluxe reissue, well, it's deluxe in the fact that it's coloured vinyl and it's all nice and new, of Sex and Death by Durutti Column.
I try my best to understand these things you have to say, but even when you're lying there, you seem so far away. I pray that I'll be whole again. I try to make an image of the perfect world. These chains just won't break.
Right, now to finish with 3 mail openings. Plenty of post today. I think altogether there's actually 4 records left to show you. We'll get this little one done first. This was a purchase from an American Discogs seller. There again, similar to the pickups from France and Germany, more often than not, the international postage and the taxes come out to way more than what the actual item cost itself. You know, you either put up with the extra fees or you don't have it. It's as simple as that. And don't have it isn't a phrase in my vocabulary. It's been well packaged, this. Although it's only come in a jiffy envelope. There is a nice cardboard sandwich, as I suspected there would be, just from the feel of the whole package. There again, this is a single that I've not heard before. It was difficult to find any information about, but I do know it's one that... now that's nice. The record shop, and I believe it is a record shop in Michigan somewhere, I think, have put this nice couple of stickers on, including one that's got some handwritten information there. So it's from UHF Records in Michigan. They're classing it as an import pressing, and they say it's produced by Peter Hook. And it is Some Now Are. That's the band name, I think. And the tracks are Truth to Tell on side A and The Heaviest Gate on side B. Looking at the Roman numerals for the date, I think this was 1983 it was out. Not on factory, funnily enough, it's on Interior Records, but it was recorded in Stockport, Manchester, so likely Strawberry Studios, I'd have thought. It's not a proper record sleeve, it's one of those wraparound things, but it has got a little inner sleeve there, and you can see the centre label and everything. So nice little thing that, don't know what the song's going to be like, or the two songs, but it's a voyage of discovery, all this. Some Now Are with their, I think they released other things but had nothing to do with Peter Hook, but their one Hooky produced single. This penultimate male opening is from a UK seller on Discogs. Similarly, this seller has also sandwiched it in some extra cardboard. And oh yes, now then, this is an album. It's a compilation album, various artists. It is the Criminal Justice album. So this came out, I think, mid-90s. It's sort of like a campaign album. Probably proceeds went to some sort of fund that fought the Criminal Justice Act, or one of the many Criminal Justice Acts. This was the one that really riled up all the DJs and musicians and stuff, because it was basically outlawing outdoor raves and things like that, and just making it really difficult for large groups of people to enjoy themselves, drop E's and listen to good music. And the reason I got this for the New Order collection, although it also at the same time fits my In Spiral Carpets collection, is because of their cover of Paranoid, which is track 11 on side 2. That was produced by Peter Hook. Now, I've been holding off buying Paranoid by In Spiral for a while. I'm not sure why, because I'm an In Spiral Carpets collector. I'm still missing a couple of their albums, but I'm hoping eventually I will be able to pick them up for a half decent price. But Paranoid originally was, and it is of course, a cover of the Black Sabbath track, but Paranoid, produced by Peter Hook, was originally a B-side on the Uniform single from In Spirals, which was 95, same year as this compilation, I think. And I did used to have the CD single, and I could have got the 7-inch because that had Paranoid on it, but this was a little bit cheaper than the 7-inch In Spirals single. I don't collect In Spirals on 7 or 12-inch single, I just collect them on LP. So I figured, well, I'll get this because I've got Uniform elsewhere on an album, on a couple of albums in fact. There's other things on here that, although they've got nothing to do with Joy Division New Order, you know, I'm going to enjoy discovering them. I mean, plenty of well-known acts on here. Radiohead, who I've never been bothered about. Duran Duran, who are hit and miss for me. Stereo MCs, Orbital, who are quite like. Jamiroquai, not so much. Aswad are on here. The Shaman, who I like. EMF, Dodgy, Corduroy, and then In Spiral Carpets is actually the last track, track 11. And also, even though he's not credited on the tracks on the sleeve, according to the Discogs database entry, there is a lot of spoken word interludes from one Malcolm McLaren on this. So it's going to be an interesting listen, this, and it's got a lot of interesting information on the back about the campaign against the Criminal Justice Act. It's even got an address with a phone number on it. Won't try ringing that if it's up there in the top left corner on the back. Funny thing, this, all the other copies seem to be a fair bit more expensive, so I was sort of leaning towards getting the Uniform 7-inch single just so I could get that Paranoid back into my collection. But then I thought, you know what, I'm going to get this instead, and I'm glad I have, because I'm going to enjoy listening and discovering some other stuff on here. Criminal Justice.
Finished with my woman, 'cause she couldn't help me with my mind. People think that I'm insane because I'm frowning all the time. All day long I think of things, but nothing seems to satisfy. Think I'll lose my mind if I don't find something to pacify. Can you help me? Can you help me find my brain? Oh yeah.
And finally, two items in here. I think they're both singles. One is a 12-inch and the other is actually a 10-inch. From a UK Discogs seller. Some great packaging, once again, well protected here. Don't think I'll need my knife again, but we'll see. So two singles here from the one seller. First one is Can't Afford by 52nd Street. This is on one of the CD B Music LTM compilations I've got, I think. Of course, there will be a different mix of Can't Afford on the B. Side A, Can't Afford. Side B is the unorganised mix, so I might not have that. 52nd Street, Electro Funk, I've spoke about them plenty of times because I got a reissues 52nd Street single a few months ago, and also when I was doubling up, or in some cases getting for the first time, some of the LTM CD compilations and vinyl compilations that were featuring heavily on stuff like the Cool as Ice and Twice as Nice compilations, for instance. So pleased to have Can't Afford by 52nd Street, which is played on, no, it's produced by Stephen Morris, I believe. And finally is something, I don't know, this is new and sealed, which I forgot it was actually. It's also individually numbered as well. Out of 2000, mine is copy 852 of this 10-inch single from an act that is, now I don't even know how you say it, K divided by 93. It's a 3-track single, 1 track on side 1, Remembrance Day, and 2 on side 2, Giving Up the Ghost and Scrying. And it's like a little super group, this. This single itself, what's the year of copyright on it? I think it says 2010, but from my limited knowledge and research, I think this was originally recorded around 1993, so for some reason it took many years for it to be issued. But K divided by 93, and I don't know if that's how you're supposed to say it. I'm really clueless, to be honest. Peter Hook, obviously. Well, not obvious, but now that I've said it's Hooky, then you know it was going to be a member of New Order or Joy Division. Jazz Coleman and Geordie Walker, who are both in Killing Joke. It seems to date from around 1993, maybe give or take a year. I'm going to open this because I think this is clear vinyl, if memory serves. I'm being a bit careful with the cellophane here, but there's no hype sticker on it. There's just a handwritten price sticker, so I don't need to worry too much about the actual cellophane here. Don't get many 10-inch singles either, so it's nice to add another one to the collection. Oh, that's nice. I didn't know it included that. It's got a little postcard in it, look. It's basically an old ad for a Joy Division gig where Killing Joke were one of the support acts, also supporting A Certain Ratio and Section 25. So that's a really nice thing. That I'd like to frame that actually, but as it came within a record, I'd probably just put it back in there. Yeah, I do like those old advertisements for gigs when it's certainly a band I'm interested in anyway. So I didn't know that'd be even in there, so that's a nice little extra. And the disc itself, was I right? Yes, it's on sort of a kind of slightly frosted clear vinyl. I think the one track that I've heard, or heard some of, from this is Giving Up the Ghost, I think. You'll see in a moment, assuming the Gestapo allow me to play you a bit of it. And it didn't sound all that great, if I'm honest, but there's two other tracks to discover on here as well, so I might end up being impressed by one or both of them. But that is the super group of two members of Killing Joke plus Peter Hook, K divide by 93, and I don't think they ever did anything else after this.
We pursue this life with the faces we know and the friends that we love. We must shake as we go in a transient place. I have loved you the most. I'll remember your smile when I give up the ghost. Remember all your passions. Remember every day. Remember all your lovers. Remember all your pain.
And there we go. Wow, a long one today, but very interesting and really satisfying to get back into the Joy Division and New Order hole filling and getting some of this stuff. I know there's still other bits out there. I said it every time before that, I'm not going to do any more or many more of these videos. And then the last time was admittedly getting on for 4 months ago. I just wanted to give that whole thing a break for a while and focus on other aspects of my record collection. But it's really been fun getting back into it, and it's certainly going to be fun listening to all that stuff, the vast majority of which I'm completely unfamiliar with. So thank you all for watching this, hope you enjoyed it. Special thanks, as always, go to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. I'm going to go now, start listening to all that good stuff. We've got Joy Division bootlegs, 7, 10 and 12-inch singles, and albums, both original issue and reissue, from the likes of Durruti Column, Winston Tong, and the Invisible Girls. So I'm going to get cracking on all that, and I do hope that all of you will join me, and I dare say there may be another part eventually for the next Joy Division and New Order collection hole filler / update video, and any other music and record collecting video on the channel as well, of course. Cheers everyone. See ya.